everyone. Good morning. Thanks for joining in. If you could comment in the chat that you guys can hear me all right. And I'd love to know where you guys are logging in from. I see one from Lexington. Mustang Island. I love that. I'm in Texas too. Los Angeles, Houston. Nice. Well, this session will be recorded. It will be posted on YouTube. So if anyone misses it or has to jump early, you will have a recording of this. From LA, I love it. We're going to give it a few minutes here to let people trickle in. My name's Ellie Edwards. I'm the Director of Broker Development with Seller Shield, and I'm excited to present today to you guys on some risks that your sellers have and how to prevent disputes from happening and how to protect yourself and your clients. So again, we'll give it about 1 to 2 minutes before we get started for agents to trickle in. And for those of you just joining, I'd love to say hello in the chat and for you guys to let me know where you're joining in from. And maybe a fun fact too about you. I see a question, are we able to get a free consultation after? I will put my information and you can reach out to me and we can connect after. All right, it's 12:02 or 1:02, so we will give it about 1 more minute before we get started today. Thank you guys again for joining in. I'm excited to be presenting to you. Can you guys hear me all right? I see a message that we got someone that can't hear, so if you guys could comment in the chat if you guys can hear me. All right, it is 1:03. So we are going to get started. Thank you guys again for joining in. I am Ellie Edwards again with Seller Shield, the Director of Broker Development. And today I'm going to give you guys a little masterclass on armor that you guys can use to protect yourself and your clients from post-sale disputes. And then at the end, I will go through any comments or questions that you guys have. All right. So every agent's worst nightmare is probably getting a call from your seller that they just got sued months or even years post-closing, and you're being dragged in and named in that lawsuit too. 95% of the time, home sale lawsuits stem from a disclosure issue. So that's why today I'm going to talk to you guys about our disclosure solution and additional legal protection that you guys can be offering your clients through our partnership with eXp. So the unfortunate news is even if a seller completes their disclosure to the best of their ability, buyers can still sue sellers, and we can't prevent every dispute. We've seen a 38% increase in claims nationwide, and then I'm going to go through a few real cases that we have been seeing come in, starting with one recently where the seller got sued for $228,000 over a plumbing dispute, even when the seller disclosed everything correctly. And again, when these lawsuits happen, almost always the agent and the broker get dragged into that lawsuit. So a few other examples of real claims, real money, and real people. We had an eXp Realty Texas recent claim where the HVAC broke down after closing. The buyer threatened legal action, demanding the seller pay for repairs, even though a home warranty was in place. We had one in Dublin, Texas, after 4 months after closing, a buyer sent a demand for over $1 million, citing defects across the roof, HVAC, electrical, plumbing, solar panels, and interior walls. Then we had one in Philly just recently as well. 4 months after closing, a demand letter citing plumbing issues and mold named both the seller and their brokerage. The brokerage was dragged in despite doing nothing wrong. So there is what leads me to who actually has legal protection in a home sale. Agents and brokers have E&O insurance, brokerage legal teams and association resources. Buyers have buyers agent advocacy, inspection contingencies, and legal counsel access. And sellers are the only ones in a real estate transaction without any sort of protection. So they're completely left on their own with no legal coverage, no attorney or retainer, and fully exposed to lawsuits. So this is why we created our 2 solutions to try to solve these 2 problems in areas of exposure for the sellers in the industry, which again, the 2 problems are sellers are the only ones in a real estate transaction without legal protection. And almost always, if the seller gets sued, agents and brokers get dragged into it, with 95% of the time, again, those being related to a disclosure issue. So something that wasn't properly disclosed or was properly disclosed, and the buyer is still coming back and suing the seller. So how do we prevent and protect sellers and then therefore agents from these disputes to occur? We have our gold standard disclosure platform. Think TurboTax for disclosure forms. And then we have our home sale legal protection. So think similar to an E&O insurance, but for the seller. Our gold standard disclosure process prevents disclosure mistakes and reduces liability. It's the same state forms you guys already use. It's just digitized and interactive. It gives the seller tips and definitions. So instead of if they have questions on what something means, what's a sump pump, instead of them calling you and hounding you with questions that you're not legally supposed to answer or help them with, our tool has those definitions for them. It gives them areas where attorneys are seeing the most lawsuits, requires them to answer every single question so they can't skip anything. You as an agent can track the seller's progress in our site, and we're also integrated with multiple TMS softwares with like SkySlope, Dotloop, Lone Wolf, and more. And this piece is completely free to use. It is really meant to try to help the seller complete a more accurate disclosure so that they're at less risk of having any issues or legal disputes post-closing. As I mentioned, unfortunately, even if the seller does complete everything to the best of their ability and accurately, buyers can still sue sellers. We live in a very litigious world, and as you saw that stat, there's a 38% increase in claims nationwide. So what would happen is the sellers going through our complimentary disclosure platform, they're given the option to opt in or purchase additional legal protection, one of our legal protection packages. And if there was a dispute post-closing, then we would hire the seller a local expert real estate attorney, provide direct support from start to finish, and pay up to $75,000 of their legal fees. The best part is that it costs sellers less than a 1-hour legal consultation. So going into pricing, because I know most of you are probably wanting to know the pricing, our seller packages, we have a 2-year package and a 4-year package. The 2-year package is the most popular package because we see most disputes come in around 11 to 14 months post-closing. And that package costs $329 with a credit card or $700 out of the closing proceeds. Again, it covers them 2 years after the closing date. They can purchase this up to any time up until the closing day. We also have our 4-year protection package. It costs $1,029 with a credit card or $1,500 out of closing proceeds. We also have the opportunity for agents to purchase the protection for their clients. Some agents like to do this as a way to win listings, as another value add in their listing presentation, or some like to do it as a post-closing gift for peace of mind. Instead of a nice bottle of champagne, they'll opt to purchase this protection for their client. So they as well don't have to worry about any dispute being dragged into post-closing years later. So our 2-year package, we give the agents a discount. It's $199 or $299 out of closing proceeds. And then for the 4-year protection, it is $529 with a credit card or $829 out of closing proceeds. So it's super simple for you guys to utilize and get started. If you're accessing it through our integration with SkySlope, you can actually just click Fill Disclosures on the left-hand side of your SkySlope account and log in as you normally do. Then it'll prompt this screen up and ask you which forms you want to send your seller. This is super easy for you guys. I know eXp uses SkySlope, so we've built this in to make it easier in your flow so that you don't have to go into a different site or software. The completed PDFs will automatically upload back into your SkySlope file as well once the seller has completed it and signed it. Or if you don't use SkySlope and you prefer to go to our site directly, you can go to sellershield.com/exp and log in to a free account, and then you'll be taken to your agent dashboard where you can just click Invite Seller. Same process goes there. The seller will have their completed PDFs automatically upload back into our site, where then you can drag and drop it into any other TMS platform that you need to. The agent, again, is given the opportunity to purchase the protection for the client if they would like to, or they can click No Protection. So it gives you guys that opportunity right away. And then what the seller sees, again, super easy process, takes 30 seconds for you to invite your seller. Then they'll get this email letting them know that their agent is requesting they fill out their disclosure form. They'll click Start Now, and then they'll be taken to our site. Again, it's the exact same state forms that you guys use, but it has those tooltips, so they can click into the hammer and it expands and gives them a definition of what certain things mean. There's a video resource. There's a yellow bar that shows common problem areas that attorneys are seeing the most lawsuits to just guide them to slow down on those specific questions. There's also expandable fields, so they can write as detailed of responses as they want. And our site does not let them skip any questions. So it doesn't let them move on until they've answered every single question. It also saves their work, and then they can also go back in and edit their disclosures and re-sign at any time. And then this is showing where they sign, and then the completed PDFs will automatically upload back into the seller's dashboard and your dashboard. And again, if you used SkySlope, then it'll automatically upload back into your SkySlope file. What's great about it for you guys is that you'll get a 100% complete and signed form, very neat, no ineligible or illegible handwriting, chicken scratch. It's just very easy to read, and it's the same state forms you guys use, and you don't have to worry about sellers hounding you with questions as they're going through their disclosure form. This really reduces that and puts you in a better place legally. So you don't have to trust me. We have over 120,000 active agents. We're active in all of these states, some specifically through SkySlope and some coming soon. We've had over 500,000 disclosures sent through our site and over 100,000 sellers protected. So here's the QR code you guys can scan. Again, if I move too quickly through this, you can go back on the recording and scan this QR code, or you can also just go to sellershield.com/exp and get more information or chat with us or sign up for free to test this out on your next listing. Some frequently asked questions: how does this limit my risk and liability? Disclosure forms are legal documents, again, and sellers commonly ask their agents how they should answer certain questions. This puts you guys in a sticky situation because you want to help support your client and make them feel supported, but legally you're not supposed to help them with any of those questions. So this really just separates you from that process and proves digitally that you did your fiduciary duty by offering them a tool that can educate them and protect them, whether they purchase the protection or not. What if my seller needs to edit? Again, I mentioned this, they can go in and edit. There's a little edit button after they've completed their disclosure. and then they re-sign, and you'll get an updated, completed copy as well. And no, we do not sell any personal information. That's it. That's the entirety of my presentation today. Thank you guys again for joining in. I'm going to stop sharing and go through any questions or comments that you guys may have. If you guys have any questions or comments, please feel free to add them in the chat, and I will stay on for a few minutes here for anyone that has any questions. Can you put the QR code back on? Question, so if it doesn't sell, then we get a refund? Yes. You'll just need to email our customer support and let us know that it didn't sell, and request a refund, and we will give you guys one. Yes, I can add the website. How do you access the forms to review? You can just go into yoursellershield.com, your account, and then you can download the completed PDF on the file. I have a house closed and would like coverage. You can purchase the coverage anytime up until the closing date. Unfortunately, you can't purchase coverage after closing. This protection is specifically for post-closing disputes. So again, you can purchase the protection anytime up until the closing date, and then the coverage will take effect right the day after closing for either 2 to 4 years post-closing. What is customer? I will put the customer support email and phone number. Hold on. Yes, you guys can find me later. I put my email in the chat. You guys can reach out to me directly, or you can reach out to customer success at sellershield.com. I will also put our phone number in there. It's, hold on. I apologize. I can't put the QR code back on, or I wouldn't be able to see your comments. So I am doing my best to try to put everything in the chat for you guys again, or you can go to sellershield.com/exp and you can chat with us directly there. Sellers can reach out to us, yes, but the platform itself guides them through any questions that they might have. What does the policy cover? I think I missed that one. So any buyer-seller dispute post-closing, again, 95% of the time, those disputes are related to a disclosure issue, but we will cover pretty much any buyer-seller dispute. The only thing that we don't cover are flips. We cover investment properties, but not flips. Yes, we hire local real estate attorneys, and we have a network of attorneys. We're always open to taking referrals, but we also have to check that there's no conflict of interest. Any other questions? Agents can also use our disclosure platform for their own personal properties and purchase the protection for themselves. That wasn't a question, but I get that frequently. So how does this work? Our E&O first, then this no. So this is actually an added layer of protection before your E&O kicks in. So when there's a threat of a buyer-seller dispute, then we'll hire, if the seller has purchased our protection, we'll hire the seller a local real estate attorney and pay up to $75,000 of their legal fees. Most of the time, you guys, we protect you guys from even having to spend your E&O deductible. But if, again, you do get dragged into it, then, and it goes to court, then your E&O would step in. So we're a buffer before E&O, an added layer of protection. And again, the most commonly purchased package is that $329 package for 2 years of protection and $75,000 of legal fees. And we resolve about 94% of disputes before they even escalate to the courtroom. So we are quick and good at mitigating the risk before you guys get dragged into it. Any other questions? The fee for the legal protection, again, the disclosure platform is completely free, but if the only thing that costs money is the legal protection, if the seller wants to purchase it, and it is tied to the property address and the seller. So yes, it would be one per property, and it's a flat fee per property. Thank you guys. These are great questions. Does the seller get a policy? The seller will get confirmation if they purchase the protection. They'll get a certificate that they purchased the legal protection. And then again, if a dispute does arise, then they'll let us know and we will hire them a local real estate attorney within 24 to 48 hours. Normally the attorney will respond quickly to the buyer, and if it gets taken to the courtroom, then we will pay for the legal fees for the attorney to defend them. If there is any faults or damages, then the seller will be obligated to pay those. So we're not trying to give the seller a free get out of jail card by promoting them to lie and then pay for the protection. So we want to really try to push them to complete an accurate disclosure that's honest. Again, if they purchase the protection, we'll still pay for the attorney, the defense attorney, and pay for all the legal fees, but we will not pay for any repairs or damages. That will be up to the seller if they are at fault. But we've reduced that amount of what they originally demanded to about 6% of what was originally demanded normally. How long does it take from start to finish? Every case is different. Again, we see the most common lawsuits come in around 11 to 14 months. Sometimes they get handled immediately. The attorney responds to the buyer's attorney and then they squash it and the buyer wants to drop it. So sometimes it's really quick. Sometimes it escalates and it takes months and goes back and forth, but it's really a case by case. There's not an average there. All right. Thank you guys so much. Again, if there are no more questions, I will wrap it up and you guys can reach out to me or our support team or the chat on our EXP Seller Shield website. Thank you guys so much and have a good Thursday.